back to my channel. Today I have one of my closest friends from Canada. He's also an actor. He's a voiceover actor. He does stunts. What else do you do? You do everything. Voiceover.
Stunts.
Yes. So today we're going to talk a little bit. We're going to begin talking about Lucifer. He was on Lucifer. I'm going to play a little clip from him here. And he's going to tell us how was the experience, how does it work as a stunt, and what you have to do, the preparation. So let's hear him. Zach Leblanc, the screen is yours.
Yeah, well, it was, initially it was just an acting role. And when I went in, I didn't, because it was kind of that stunt involved. I was like, am I going to have to? And they said, no, don't worry about that. Just give us the line. So I gave them, a couple reads on the line and then ended up booking the part.
But how was the preparation? Did you have any, not the director, it's the other one, the stunt coordinator to direct you?
There was a stunt coordinator on set. They just gave me some like padding and stuff, threw mats around when I would, collapse. But there wasn't really much, he gave some guidance on how to do it. I took, when I was younger back in high school, I took some stage combat classes at district drama festivals or provincial drama festivals. So I had a little bit from my youth, and I used to like kind of screw around with that stuff in school and do like pratfalls and things like that.
And how many times did you film the same scene?
My guess would probably be around 20 times. So I probably did that. And we always did the full thing.
Yeah.
So I probably did the about
bumping your head
at least 15 to 20 times probably.
That's many times. So what did you bump your head into? There was anything like on the table?
No,
because
there was nothing on the table because it was pretty much in shot every time. So basically you just want to slam your arms down.
Oh, I have a little class right now. Okay, teach us. How do we do? We go like this?
Well, I just she grabs my head and I slam my arms down. And you try and get your arm to hit the table, and you try and stop your head just before it hits the table.
That's too fast. Like, I can't do it.
Yeah. So the bang comes from your arms hitting the table.
Yeah.
There was a few times when and also if you have your arms, if you're like, whoa, I'm going down, it also covers your head going into it, so you can't see where your head smacks into the table, so you can't.
You improvised more than you trained to do it. It was like an improvisation on set.
Yeah, I mean, I honestly, when I went in, I thought they might have like a stunt person for it because they didn't tell me anything about the stunt. They didn't get me to do it in the audition, but I wanted to do it because
you get credit for it.
Yeah, I wanted to do it because you get paid more. You get paid a stunt actor rate instead of just an actor rate.
Yes.
So I was like, yeah, I'll do the stunt. Is this a stunt? And they're like, they're not calling it a stunt. I'm like, what? How is this not a stunt? But then I did it a bunch of times. I definitely left with like bruises all over my arm. I had some bruises on my ribs. And I did smack my head a few times on the table. Like 15, 20, I probably smacked my head 3 or 4. And one of them was pretty bad.
Oh my gosh. So guys, don't do that at home, okay? Just practice with your trainer.
Or do it on something padded, I guess.
Yeah, babe.
But I told my agent, I was like, yeah, that was really stunty. You might want to look into that. And then they contacted the production.
The union?
And they agreed. They're like, yeah, that was pretty stunt. So they ended up paying for the stunt as well.
Yeah, they can see the scene here, so they will agree it's a stunty scene.
Yeah. Well, I told some friends who also work in the industry that do stunts. And one of my friends, she's like, oh my goodness, I've done things that are way less of a stunt than that and gotten paid stunts. So they didn't put up too much of a fight. They gave me the stunt pretty quickly.
So that was your only experience in Lucifer, or have you done more?
No, that was it. I mean, I worked background on the show a few times.
Me too. A couple times.
Yeah. But other than that, that was the only like on-camera acting.
Yeah, I remember we used to film almost every week on Lucifer on the bar scene. They needed every time. Okay, so let's talk about Beyblade Runner. It's Runner? Wait.
Beyblade Burst.
Burst. Anyways, okay, let's talk about voiceover then. So Zach, tell us a little bit about the voice work preparation and how does it work and tips for future voiceover actors, and talk a little bit about your experiences, please.
Well, for Beyblade, I just had some small character. They just sort of wanted a kind of goofy sidekick character for one of the leads. And I was in contention for one of the leads earlier on in the series, but it didn't pan out, so that's how I ended up with a smaller character. But one of the leads, Daigo Kurigami, he was played by an actor who ended up moving to Tony Kim, Tony something, or he ended up moving to Toronto for a gig, so his role ended up getting, you know.
But when you move, you cannot record from your home, or you have.
I mean, the studios in Vancouver that they record out of, right? So it's kind of there's unless they found some studio for him to do it on, like, because you need studio quality. And
because of the sound.
They'd have to rent a studio somewhere for him to go into, and patch an engineer in patching it so that it just cost a bunch more money.
Okay.
So they just put the character out there, gave a bunch of voice actors his sample of what he sounds like and how he did the character. So I for the few days leading up, I knew which character he was. So I listened to the sample they gave me, but I watched some episodes and kind of just, tried to learn to do his voice as best I could. And and then, went in for a couple auditions and I ended up booking the part. So that was kind of how I got a bigger role on the show.
Just prepared yourself. You just listened to him, practiced a little bit, had fun.
Yeah. I did some warm-ups before the first audition, and then they.
How was the warm-up? How do we do warm-ups for voiceover?
Just watch, sections of his and keep repeating the line until you sound as close as you can.
I see. And how was the experience for you? Did you have any challenges?
I mean, there was one time I was starting to get a little sick. I remember being like, I went to the hospital and I was like, I've got a really sore throat. It wasn't like, normally I would have just been like, I'll be fine in a few days. But I was coming in and I had a sore throat for like 3-4 days and it wasn't getting any better. So I went to the hospital. I'm like, I have to work on, in like 3 days and my throat is getting worse. And they're like, oh yeah, you can hear it. And I'm like, yeah. So they ended up giving me some meds for it. And I was still a little bit there, but he's a little raspy anyways. So I don't think people seem to notice too much.
It didn't make any difference.
Yeah. So I managed. That was like the closest I had to kind of any difficulties. But
what do you think is maybe the biggest difference between acting on screen and doing only the voice work?
I mean, it kind of depends on the production, but voiceover is a little more theatrical. I mean, theater actors tend to transition nicely into voice acting because they've got a little more. They're a little, a little more stage presence. Kind of lends itself to voice acting.
So do you do all types of, gestures when you're speaking, or is just?
I'm very,
all over the place.
Pardon?
All over the place.
Yeah, most voice actors that I've worked with are pretty physically big. Some are smaller, but you still like. I've never seen a voice actor that didn't really kind of try and doesn't physically encompass the character to a certain degree. When they're playing an old person, if you're starting to play an old person, you tend to crouch over and, you physically take it on. Or if you're playing somebody pompous, you might be very, absolutely, sure, that sounds wonderful. People, and some people are just massive when they do it. I'm fairly big.
You would work more with comedies, right? Sitcoms. Then you can go a little bigger. It depends on what the director wants to.
I mean, if some cartoons are a lot more like film and TV, some are very serious and not cartoony in tone, and those you're gonna have to learn how to, But if it's serious in tone, you'd probably be trying to get into the character like you would an actor, so you wouldn't be as big. And Vancouver doesn't have as many, like, we do more cartoony stuff up here, so there's every now and then a more adult kind of. Pardon?
The CW shows?
Yeah. Well, but for cartoons, we tend to. Yeah, exactly. Even in film and TV, we don't get too many. We have some,
more dramatical. Yeah.
Fairly
Drama
serious shows
series.
come through, but cartoons are, it's mostly kids cartoons.
Okay, talk about My Little Pony then. The difference from Beyblades to My Little Pony.
I mean, I would say even My Little Pony, at least the characters I played were even more cartoony than,
Yeah, I saw the scenes.
was fairly cartoony, but then My Little Pony was like the next level up, where it was just,
You're just like kids.
yeah, you could really go over the top. Like the directors sometimes are like, no, go even further, go even more nuts, and it's like, okay.
Can you do one of the voices for us, or both of them? I don't know. Anything you like, a little taste.
Yeah, I mean, probably vocally the more cartoony one was Skedaddle, who's, he was up here and he talked really high. Oh no, that sounds like a lot of fun. He was, and I actually had to take him even high. Like he was kind of hard to do just because it was so high that it was a little strenuous, and I had to push him really high because in the episode that I was in,
you're running too. I saw the pony was running to tell a news to the other.
Oh yeah. There was that clip. That was the second episode. The first episode that I booked him in, I played opposite character played by Vincent Tong, and he was doing a fairly kind of boyish type, kid voice, like, oh, that's not fun. I don't want to do that. So I had to push higher, so I couldn't be in that same register. So like, no, you're going to be even higher than that. So they pushed me up here, like, so I was really high. Oh no, So I had to go really high. Yeah, my voice isn't warmed up quite enough to do it even right now. But yeah, just so I wouldn't sound like Vincent, I had to go the next step higher of Kitty voice. So,
because you have to match the other person's tones too.
Yeah, I couldn't match his character, and he was the lead guest on that episode.
Yeah.
So his was the starting voice, and then mine was okay, don't do Vincent's register, go somewhere higher. So that was for that episode. And then the other one was just super awkward, kind of nerdy, a little bit creepy, kind of invasive, doesn't know boundaries. So that was his story arc, was learning boundaries. So when I did the audition, I kind of did, a little bit of a quirky, awkward, nerdy character. And they're like, that's good, but can you make it even like, make him so he's really creepy. Like you turn around and he's right there on the shoulder. Like, so I made him even like more awkward and creepy, and just like, hi, Twilight is my favorite time of day. It's also your name. I just thought that was kind of cool. So I just filled him with like weird, awkward laughter and tics and stuff, and they thought it was really funny. So
that's really good.
So I ended up booking both of them at the same time because they were in one episode after another, and then one or two seasons later, I guess 2 seasons later, the Skedaddle came back for sort of a guest appearance.
Nice. And how long time do you usually take to record those episodes? And do you do only once a day or more than? It's like acting, normal.
My Little Pony is a prelay, which means you get together with the cast, or in the pre-COVID days, you would get together with the cast and you would just go through the whole script.
The whole script for the whole season?
Yeah, well, some of it you skip because some of the actors were in LA, and we would just, if they had a part in the scene, often somebody would just read their part so you can have somebody to work with. So yeah, back and forth with the dialogue.
The ones from LA, they have to fly to Vancouver to go to the studio there, or they can only record?
No, the LA people record in LA.
Oh, okay.
So they record separately.
Okay.
And, yeah, so that's so somebody in the studio, one of the actors will often read the lines of the person not there, just so the script has a little more flow. But yeah, so you just read through the whole script, start to finish, and a full episode, 22-minute episode takes, if you're cruising, you might get it in under 2 hours. Up to maybe about 3 hours is as long as I think I've gone for.
It's an amazing work day.
Yeah.
You compare with TV shows, 15, 16-hour a day. No, wow.
Yeah, in comparison to a normal 12-hour camera day, 3 hours is pretty nice.
Exactly. And usually they go for 12 hours. Remember, some of the shows, they go to 15, 16.
Yeah.
Depends which show you're doing. It's great.
Yeah, but that, if you're camera shoots like a 14-hour day is extremely long, because then you have like stuff tail ends, right? Like you might have, like if your background, you might have to come in early because there's a bunch of people and they have to do wardrobe. And then
I think Riverdale used to do that days, the long days. Yeah.
Every now after there was that incident with the car accident with
the actor,
so
the red hair one. What's his name?
Yeah, AJ something or other.
AJ. No.
It's
initials. I always say JK, but it's not JK. I think it's KJ. APA. Oh, something.
Yeah. I think that's what. And after that incident, they kind of were like, we can't keep having.
So they got better rules now.
I still occasionally have a day where I'm like, just in last November doing background, I had like probably close to 15-hour day, 14 something.
Oh
wow.
Okay, you give advice to people who want to enter in this voiceover world. And they study acting first, and then they go and do private coaching for voiceover work. Or how does it work?
It's acting first. That's like, even if you take classes with the good teachers, everyone will be like, it's you have to start with acting. If you don't have a background in acting, go try and find some theater projects maybe you can get involved with. Take some acting classes. Start there, because if you can't, even though it's a little bigger in cartoons, you still have to be grounded in something honest. You don't want it to be just, big voices and screaming. You have to be able to hit the notes. You have to be able to, if your character's sad,
story.
I mean, that's the nice thing, is like, if you have a character who's sad, you don't have to like be like, okay, I need 5 minutes to go to my trailer, and like, it doesn't have to be as deep. It doesn't. I mean, some cartoons do.
Method acting, make me cry.
Yeah, I mean, some cartoons would, you would want that for some cartoons. You would want deep honesty, but most, you can just kind of drudge it up a little bit, and that'll be enough. But you still want to have your acting skill set very good. I definitely like the best voice acting school in town is called On the Mic, and I definitely see a bunch of students who, I think maybe some of them are just big fans of cartoons, or big fans of some of the teachers who teach there, because they do have some of the biggest names in Vancouver that teach there. And they come in, and you can tell they don't have an acting background, and that's something they're going to have to really work on if they do want to seriously get into the industry. So it's, you definitely start with acting. And then,
how do you prepare your portfolio to get an agent? Do you do that in school?
I mean, for the voice industry, I think finding an agent, it's pretty tough. It took me a little while to find one that I was happy with. And I think just, you have to have the skill set. You have to be very, you have to have the acting specifically to start. It's, if you don't have the acting, then, because if you're a good actor, you
also have to show your acting work on camera for the agents.
No, not so much that. You just have to be a good actor.
Just be a good actor, you're fine.
Yeah, you have to, prove that you can act, and that you can, because they don't, studio time costs a lot, and they have, structured amount of time where they bring in the actors, and if somebody's not getting the lines, then they don't want to just have to work 5 minutes on every line with somebody. If they can't get it in a take or two, then they just, I've one of my teachers, I won't say his name, but he talked about how he's seen people in session where they're not quite there, they don't have it, and the director will be giving them directions, and they're not quite hitting the notes, and they'll be like, all right, we'll come back to that line, and then they go on to the next line, and same thing, they're trying to get them to get the line out, and it's not happening, and then all of a sudden that actor will not get notes for the rest of the episode. And he said, he's like, well, when that happens, it's that person is about to be recast.
Wow. So,
yeah. He said he's seen that a few times in studio, where he's like, oh, that person's getting recast. They're not getting notes anymore.
Wow.
So you have to be able to do it quickly. You have to be able to hear the notes. If somebody gives you a note and you only get 20% of the way there, it's like, you should, if you get a note, you want to be getting, ideally, if you can do it right away and give it exactly what the director's asking for, that's ideal. sometimes, you know, it takes 2-3 tries. Sometimes you just lines you get stuck on, and that's okay. But you still have to be progressing quickly towards what the director's trying to achieve.
And what do you think about Vancouver scene for actors from other countries?
I mean, it's definitely a good city for it. Obviously, I know voiceover scene much better than I know the on-camera scene. On camera, you still want to have your acting chops, but the first thing they're looking for is the look. The look is, you know, that's what gets you in the room, and often they'll take somebody they feel is the better look than the better actor. They'll be like, well, that guy was the better actor, but
most influenced show, like how many followers?
Yeah, he has more followers. Let's take him, or just he has the better look. Like, so they'll try and get the look first. So look is key. But then obviously you can't be a terrible actor. You still have to have some chops. You still have to be able to get through a scene. And if you're, you know, going in on camera and you can't take direction there, you'll develop a reputation pretty quick that you're not a good actor. And, you know, you'll even if you have a great look, you won't. I know, you know, there's some people who I know who are incredibly good looking and but not great actors. And you know, you look at their resume and it's not chock full. I think like, if you had some more acting chops, you would be cruising. But and voiceover, it's an even smaller scene. There's a very select few people who work a lot. I'm sort of on the fringe. I'm definitely not one of the ones who works all the time. But
do you think to get opportunities to work on voiceover work, it's harder than acting?
I'd say for the average person, it's harder. For me, in some ways, it was easier because I had the skill set for it. I was good at voices. I've been doing voices since I was a kid. I have a theater background. So I just kind of had that skill set that lent itself to voiceover. So that's one of the reasons I switched. But even once I started switching and was getting great feedback right from the beginning, it still took me 2.5 years to book my first role. So it wasn't.
Wow, I didn't know that.
But the difference was I was going out for, you know, I was lucky to get a one-liner here. I was mostly going out for commercials. You know, I've done a few commercials. And
how was your experience with commercials?
I mean, pretty good. You go out for a ton of them. Most commercials bring out a lot of people. So I think from the acting side, I usually brought something pretty good. I would probably get a call back on about at least 50%.
Tell us about commercials auditions. They're weird.
They are weird. A lot of times you have almost nothing going in. Like sometimes there's no script, and you know, sometimes it's just like, tell us a fact about yourself and do a dance, and it's like, okay, I'm so and so, and so you know, sometimes there's not even scripts. Obviously, if there's a script, I'm much happier. I like having something that I can kind of work on and think about.
Show your hands. No, the back side. Stand there. Don't move.
Yeah. So commercials are almost the majority of commercials are about look, because it's not like giant performances. Some commercials do have, you know, a bit more performance-y. All the commercials I booked were comedic. So you know, if I saw a commercial, I'm like, ooh, this is a funny commercial, and I suited the character, then I'd be like, okay, I've got a much better shot at this.
Tell us about some funny auditions, some that you had to do.
Well, I remember the one where it was for a sleep medication.
What?
Called Sleep Harmony. Okay. It was like a natural sleep medication. That was one where I left the room. I went in for the initial audition, and it went fairly well, but I had like so many ideas as I was leaving, and they only wanted you to do it sort of one way, and there was a bunch of stuff where I was like, oh, I wish I could have done that or done this. But it still went fairly well, and then I got the call back, and in the call back they gave
sleep on the room.
No, it wasn't that. I was a yard care. What do you call those? Like lawn maintenance, garden maintenance. There's a term for it. Anyway, I was playing like that guy, and I hit a sprinkler head, and it broke. So I was like, hey, I hit your sprinkler head. Just thought I should let you know. And then that's like one of the things that's making it hard for the guy to sleep. All the like his boss yelling at him earlier that day, me hitting the sprinkler head. When we went in for the callback, it was very. There was a lot. Like they got us to do it a bunch of different ways. They wanted to see how. I assume all actors how they could play it differently, because they wanted to kind of have a little improviness to it. and I definitely threw in a few of my own improv lines that I thought about in the previous edition that I would have liked to have done.
Nice.
And they thought it was hilarious, so then I ended up booking it.
Amazing. Cool.
And then they did end up getting us to do some improvs. We all kind of come in and deliver our lines. And then afterwards, they wanted all three of us. So there was a car mechanic saying like, yeah, you know, whatever shot, you're going to need a new this. And then there was this boss yelling about a report. And then there was me about the sprinkler head. So these are the things that were keeping him up at night.
So cool. It's like Keith's class.
Yeah.
Remember prep class?
Exactly. I mean, it's useful. It was useful training.
Yeah.
So then after we delivered each our own line, they wanted us to just kind of say something. They're like, just improv about the scenario. So say whatever you want. And so I was just like, yeah, oh man, I hit that baby hard. It just exploded like an old faithful. It was just shooting up in the air. It was wild. Like I just started rambling on about that stuff, and they really liked my bam explosion hand. They're like, oh, we want to get that in frame. That's really good. So, you know, it was kind of fun. What? Pardon?
Did they get your hand?
Yeah, they love that line, and they love the gesture. So they're like, oh, they framed it up so that it was like in the right place, kind of not blocking the actor's face and still in frame. Nice. So yeah, that was a fun commercial to work on.
I find it interesting when they go in groups. Like we go like 5 or 6 people, then you're the last group to go in. The casting director is almost like, oh my gosh, my day is almost gone.
Yeah,
you have to introduce yourself. I don't know, say a little bit about what you do, what your hobbies, and that's it. That's the audition. Just talk about yourself, and you're done.
Yeah, because it's look more than anything for commercials. 90% of the parts I think are booked based on look. If you're not a great actor, whatever, it's, you know, a 15-second commercial that'll get the line out of you.
Doesn't matter. Yeah, just play the volleyball. Just throw the ball in. Just do the basketball goal.
Yeah. So they just want to crowd as many people through as they can to get as many like people that they like the look of on camera.
True. Alrighty, I think that's it. Do you want to tell us anything else about any other work?
No, I mean everything that I'm kind of working on right now is being kept secret for now. So
true.
Yeah.
All right, so maybe we'll call you back in later this year, and you can tell us more about your project, your new project.
Well, yeah, there's a pretty big update coming. So.
Only tell us, is for on-screen acting or voiceover work?
Honestly, you could argue both, I suppose.
Okay, that's good. Let's do it. Combo. We like combos.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you so much for coming to the interview. I mean, for accepting my invitation. And nice to catch up with you too.
It's nice to see you.
All right, and hopefully sometime this year or maybe next year, whatever COVID is good, we can go karaokeing again when I go back to Canada.
That's the dream.
Let's sing Grease.
Yeah.
All right, I'll see you, Zach. Thank you so much. Take care.
Bye.
Oh,
yeah, you too.
Actually, you forgot to talk about your social media. We need your social media here so people can talk to you.
Well, I'm that's one area I tend to not be as active in. I do have I'm trying to be more active in Instagram. I've been a little more in recent years. And my Instagram is Zach Leblanc, so just my name, 85.
Okay, so I can just drop it here, Zach Blanc, and he's gonna try to talk to you guys as much as he can. That's a promise.
Yeah.
He's gonna be more active.
Well, hopefully with these updates coming, I'll have more exciting stuff to talk about, so that'll kind of hopefully give me a chance to be a little more active too.
Oh my God, but your things are already exciting. What do you mean?
Well, I mean, it's been a slow few years. There's not too much in the works right now, so except for what I'm kind of planning to work on in the coming months.
We will do it. You have more work to talk about. A lot more work, hopefully. And
well, like I said, there's something big in the works. Hopefully that'll pan out, and I'm definitely making a pretty big jump coming in the future. So
Nice, nice, nice. Okay, so I will see you then. I don't know, on WhatsApp.
Yeah, hopefully soon.
Okay, bye.
Bye.
Sort of student disco. No one in the
I
right
have a
mind.
coupon for a free margarita.
Oh. Yeah. Well, I have to admit, the job is losing its thrill.
To understand these pitiful beings, to be one of them, your hopes weaken you.
My ancestors, they created an unbeatable piece of armor. Me? I'm just a handyman who created a mess.
Okay, if you insist. It was me who beat the Raiders, swooping in at the last second to save the day.
Too bad for all your friends deciding to back you. That was their mistake. They didn't know you're weak.
Tried rowing like you said, but my oar broke. So I used my fishing line to tie it back together, and I got my cutie mark! Ah, I can't wait to tell every pony!
Sometimes I get these really bad headaches at night, and I think maybe the dummies at the hospital put the plate in backwards or something. And
where you at? 128th and 72nd. Alright, I'll be there in 12 minutes. Yeah, 12 minutes.